back to some boring subjects.
Understand the risk to our country.
Freedom brings people together.
You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
Welcome to We Are Libertarians. My name is Chris Spangle. Thank you so much for joining us here on the program. We're excited to have you today. I have no idea what we're talking about. Again, We Are Libertarians. We're doing some reaction videos, so Harry Price has picked the topic, so stay tuned. I don't know what it is, and we've also got birthday surprises from Joshua Sexton, which are always funny, and stay tuned right after these words. Before we begin, I just want to thank our patrons. Thank you so much for supporting this show. That's really how we support the network. It's also how I support my kids. So you're not only getting the benefit of paying for all the infrastructure of multiple different shows in the network, you're also making my children happy. And isn't that the best thing in the world, to make children happy? So especially the people who do that the most are our $100 a month members. That is Jason Doolittle, Christy Avery, who makes my kids especially happy with all of her gifts. She's so sweet. Reinhold, Matthew Durbin, and Vincent Pycole. And everybody that subscribes to the Patreon, it is value for value. So if you find value in what I do, then please give value back to the network, to the Chris Spangle Show, and to me for the time and effort that I put into educating you and helping you think differently. You will also get several different goodies. You'll get early release of episodes weeks in advance, sometimes months in advance. You will also get ad-free versions of the show. You will also get a back catalog going back to 2012. I think it actually goes back to 2008 to some of my very early radio shows. So there is I think like 1,500 different episodes in there. So it's a huge library of content. You can learn about past current events, you can learn about different philosophies, and you can just have some fun listening to it. We really thank you so much for supporting the Chris Spangle Show. It means a lot to us. It means a lot to my family, especially, and it means a lot to everyone here at the network. So if you would, please go to wearelibertarians.com, find the link there. You can also go to patreon.com/wearelibertarians, or you can find it in the show notes and become a patron today.
Warning, this show is for adults, produced by semi-adults. So the language is sometimes strong and offensive.
I don't know what I said.
Welcome to We Are Libertarians, where our goal is to help you sound smarter while talking to your friends. We examine current events from a libertarian perspective while treating modern politics with all of the irreverence it deserves.
There has been lie after lie.
We toss out the screaming heads, put people before political parties, and give context to the news to make you think. Now, here's our host, a 15-year veteran of politics and media, Chris Spangle.
All right, welcome back to We Are Libertarians. Thanks for joining us here on the program. We're heading into our 12th year here on the We Are Libertarians program. Lots of backlog for you to listen to. You can also join the Patreon, and you can hear all of the past episodes. Harry and I were reminiscing before the show about all the fun stuff that we've had that has gone on, and all the crazy people that have been a part of this entire operation. You can hear all that, and you can hear episodes long before they air on the Chris Spangle Show if you join the Patreon at We Are Libertarians, patreon.com/wearelibertarians, excuse me. So thanks for joining us. I am joined here by Harry Price. How are you today?
Hello, going good. Yeah, by the way, it's Harry, aka the moving target. Let's see.
Yes. Also here is Vincent. How are you?
Good, you guys.
And then there were supposed to be other co-hosts, but I thought Harry was inviting them. He thought I was inviting them, and so they're not here. So anyways.
No, I invited him. He just saw the invite and just for some reason assumed it was going to be remote, not in studio.
Oh, okay.
How? When I had the place in the invite, maybe we need to make sure the invite's more formal.
Yeah, we'll talk about it off air.
See, I was threatened not to show up early, or Harry wouldn't shower after hot yoga.
That is
so true. I was threatened to not show up early.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because we did it a little bit later, and then because you were like, I can either not shower after hot yoga or shower after hot yoga, and I was like, I don't have anything to do. I have a lot to do today, actually. It turns out, but I'd rather you shower
Exactly.
after hot yoga.
And that's why I waited. He was like, I'll be there at 10:30. He's like, let me just give it a little extra time just in case. Because he threatened me. He's like, oh, he showed up 1 minute early. No shower.
No shower.
Honestly, though, you should have seen him in his muscle shirt. His glistening body would have maybe jacked up the Christy Avery would have gotten a treat. So, anyways, I'm having a senior moment. Vincent, is your last name Price or is that the old spooky guy?
That's the old spooky guy.
Okay,
sure.
all right. I'm almost 40. My birthday will be September 9th. I will be 40 years old, and as is the tradition, Joshua Sexton, a beloved listener who has listened all 12 years to all of the episodes of WAL, CSS, Loki WAL. Loki WAL is Harry's podcast with Vince. You can go check that out. And at WeareLibertarians.com. Last year, he sent me a gold record, which you can see behind me. Up above Harry is the Dear Leader painting. Over here on our shelf of honors, all these great memories that we've got. You can see here on the video, he sent these votive candles. The Ron Paul votive candle is upside down because things are in turmoil over there at the Ron Paul Institute. We've got some super male vitality. We've got a Canada thing, if you remember that joke. Down here, what else? The Lord, he made me a Lord one year. A Wayne Allen root hat. Won't go into that. Down there's Maya's mask, if you remember Maya, who is alive and well, believe it or not. So yeah, every year Joshua Sexton sends me a birthday present, and this year he's gotten me two. So thank you for the knife. I asked for the knife like 10 minutes ago. I said, Harry, do you have a knife? And you said...
Well, that's racist to assume I have a knife.
No, you're a dad. Dads all have knives.
Well, yeah, but, you can't just assume I have a knife.
At Christmas time, you go, has anybody got a knife? And 14 dads whip out their knives. Harry, what did you get me for my birthday?
The same thing I get you every year.
Absolute grief. Hell.
I give you content, okay? Work, because you love work.
I do love work, actually, yes. This is a little hard to open. I should have opened it beforehand, but here, all right. So this is the first one. We'll get to the show later, but... so this is pretty cool. What is this?
You're dropping stuff?
I'm dropping
just throwing stuff everywhere.
Important things. This looks like some sort of sign. Oh, very cool. Nice. It's a little LED light up thingy for the Doolittle Studios. Mm-hmm. We are here in the Doolittle Studios today. Thank you, Jason Doolittle, for making the streaming house here possible. Mm-hmm. So it's like a microphone with a headset. Yeah, it says WAL Studios. I'm not even going to keep this here. I'm going to take this.
I'm taking it home.
Hang it up in my house.
That's not the WAL Studios. That's the Doolittle Studios. So it doesn't work there. It has to come to my house where the WAL Studios
is. Really cool. Yeah, I love this. Yeah, one year I talked to Joshua, and he's like, "Hey, can I ask you a question? My wife thinks this is really creepy that I'm a fan and spend so much on your birthday." Here, WAL Studios, very cool. Thank you, Joshua. And I said, "No, I think it's really flattering and fun." Mm-hmm. And he's like, "Ha! I told you." He thinks it's funny. So that's pretty cool. The WAL Studios, and then what else do we got here? Got another box.
Oh, it comes with mounting screws too.
Yes. All right, I'll clean all those. Ooh, this says mic. Wonder if it's a golden EIB microphone.
Oh man.
Could you imagine if it was a golden EIB microphone?
Which, I'm not going to say I would take your golden microphone.
I do.
So you're telling that this episode is all the YouTube cliches. You have the unboxing video. We got the reaction video.
Harry's going to do some buy stuff later.
We got pranked by...
Oh my gosh. It is actually the golden WAL microphone. This is very... very cool. The golden WAL microphone.
That is so
It's
cool.
a little award. We're going to have to, Harry... it's so cool. It's just like the mics that we use, the SM58. Mm-hmm. and it says the Golden Wall microphone. Harry, what do you think? Should we give this out as an award every year?
Or like pass it around if someone has it?
Yeah, so Hody this year's the host of the year. Brian Nichols, Boss Hog of Liberty.
I like that idea.
Or should I award it to myself every year as Dear Leader would?
Yes, you should award it to yourself every year. That'd be more fun. We have an award show like, right.
So Josh wrote, "Happy birthday, Dear Leader. Wanted you to be able to say from behind the Golden Wall microphone when you record. Have a great birthday. Love, Joshua Sexton." Well, these are very, very cool. You've outdone yourself. I can't wait to see what you come up with next year. These are very thoughtful.
Those are going to be in the background of every video moving forward.
I know.
In every one of his videos.
Well, you got to understand, like a lot of us, especially in the podcasting space that are, especially the older millennial crowd, like a lot of us grew up listening to Rush.
Rush, yeah, absolutely.
Love him or hate him, but like we listened to him on the golden, microphone. So this is awesome.
I mean, I was I've got in the background in my office where I do all my podcasts when I'm not here at the Doolittle Studios. I may take a couple of these things back just to put them back up there because the wall representation is all here. But we don't actually have it on video. But yeah, I mean, I wanted to be a talk radio show host because I was tooling around with my grandma during the weeks. She listened to Rush Limbaugh, and I just thought it was really cool. And then I listened to Bob and Tom, and then the Mike O'Meara show was why I wanted to do a podcast. So Rush was very formative. So this is very cool. Thank you, Joshua. We really appreciate it. Vince, I don't know that people know a lot about you. I know you're on Low Key Wall, but I know that are you related to Harry somehow? We've talked about this, but let's have a refresher because I'm 40 now and I don't remember.
I'm his wife's cousin.
Okay. All right, gotcha. And he's known you since you were a little tyke.
Like 13?
13.
Something like that?
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah.
It's been a little over 20 years now.
Just running around, detrimentally horny, just 13, and Harry showed you the way to waifus.
Nah.
Were you like?
That's something that came naturally later.
Did you two?
I didn't corrupt him.
Did you two connect because you already had the interest, or did Harry shape your interest in like the pop culture you're into?
Little column A, little column B. We actually on one of the episodes of Low Key Wall, we ended up doing the whole series that we did like a 3x3 about things that influenced us, and one of them I put on there because of his mentorship towards me. And it represented the connection that, like, when I was at a time where everything was, like, all over the place in my life,
right?
He was, like, a mentor figure that stepped in to help.
Was there, like, a one piece of, and maybe pull that towards you, and just so the mic is facing me, so since you're facing us here. Yeah. Was there, like, for me, Bob and Tom was why I wanted to get into comedy. And so... big announcement coming, by the way. I'm going to be on a network television show. You could probably guess what channel if you know my comedy podcast. But if you don't, then you're going to be really surprised which channel it's on. But stay tuned. That announcement is coming. But like for me, the formative media of my life is Bob and Tom. And to be able to work for them is my dream come true. Like, was there one thing that he showed you that was like, this is my holy grail, that you still go back to, that you love?
No.
Okay. All right.
Wow.
No, this is not true.
Harry, was there something that you showed him that you were like, I really want you to like this?
Yeah, there's tons of things.
It's called being a mechanic.
Yeah. There's tons of car stuff. I really wanted to get into cars, but it's not happening.
Nothing.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Just me as a person, I have a very scattered mindset that I've taken a lot of information from a lot of random things and hold it. So, like, a great example is in high school, we had to do a Shakespeare project. And I remember, like, the first part of the To Be or Not to Be. Soliloquy, just off the top of my head, as producer Paul made a joke. He's like, to meme or not to meme? That is the question. And it just kept rattling on there, like, why do you know that? I was like, I don't know.
I am literally reading Hamlet again right now, and I just bought the Kenneth Branagh. I love Hamlet. That's, as I was asking the question, that's one of my formative. I've read Hamlet probably like 20 times. It's just like one of those things. I know you're a writer too. Like, is that part like Hamlet and Shakespeare? And just sticks or what?
It's just for that stuff. It's more of I just I just absorb information from everywhere. So my inspirations are like all over the place. It's like, oh, I like this way this storytelling happens, so I'm gonna put this in here. Oh, I like the way that these characters are written, so I'm gonna use those to influence how I've written characters. Honestly, the closest thing that Harry had ever given me to something that will always go back to was in high school. He gave me this book that was deducing characters, people, and breaking them down like psychologically and how to write characters based on that, and how the stuff like how somebody who's like a criminal, why would they do it? It's breaking down of how they would do it in that way. So for me, that's how I end up spending a lot of time when I'm writing, to be more of character-based interpersonal issues, because I find those more interesting than the whole world's going to collapse, deal with it.
Right. What kind of stuff do you write?
It's as of right now, the only thing that I've written is in the process of me getting an agent to get it published.
Gotcha.
So it's fiction. It's fantasy fiction. It's basically the closest thing I can get to being considered an isekai, which is like a different world kind of thing, where a character goes into a different world and has to experience and figure out what's going on based on that. But it's more of like jumping through timelines of different. Basically, the Earth is different based on different things that happen in the world fell in a different pattern.
What are the counterfactuals? Like historians do that all. What if Hitler had won and Philip K. Dick wrote that great book that
one of the
TV show? One
of the examples I did was basically the planet is covered in a giant rainforest, and what happened is that during the rubber boom, instead of them deforesting the rainforest, it has the opposite effect and cover the whole planet in rainforest.
It's almost like coyotes, Harry. The more you kill coyotes, the more they spread. Yeah,
that thought process of how things would be massively different due to minor changes.
So you're shopping it, trying to find an agent to get it published. Gotcha. So do you like keep rewriting and writing and or do you just have it sitting on the shelf and I'm not going to touch it because I like it?
The first time I did it, I read it and rewrote it, and I got an editor to edit it professionally. And then I went through it a second time and then a third time. So during those times, I've added like 10,000 more words through the editing process. Because like you read it and go, oh, something needs to be here to make the story make more sense. Yeah. So here I'm going to insert this extra chapter and ram it in the middle of this plot, and now I have to go back through and change everything to make this make sense.
Is this something that you think you'll just keep working on perpetually?
Hopefully not.
Okay, all right.
Because this one has an ending that could lead. That's like a cliffhanger ending that leads into other things. So I don't want it to be a perpetually set on the shelf.
Yeah. Is it like really hard to get an agent and get published and like get your foot in the door places?
It's very much you have to find the right agent to match what you're looking for.
Right.
It's because some agents are better at shopping rom-coms than they are a fantasy story or things along those lines.
That makes sense because Harry, you know how to you network with a certain historians network with historians.
Right. Yeah. Security people talk with security people. Right. If you're a system administrator, you talk with those type of people. You're into cars, you're into BMWs, you talk to other BMW people. It's just what you do. You just, so yeah.
Right. But for me in general, I just like writing.
Yeah. So what helped get you to kick off the ball of actual writing, sitting down and wanting to put the story down on paper?
Well, really, I've always wanted to just write it, but what ended up happening was that certain somebody at this table got me a book called No Plot, No Problem, which is basically set up to do you spend 30 days to write a 50,000 word book. And then I just did that. The first time I did it, I had to stop halfway through because of relationship issues. And then I did it a second time, and I worked it all the way through. And it actually came out as a really good product.
Yeah. That's a good book, by the way. I recommend that book.
Yeah. It actually did. It did help a lot of different aspects of things, and because I just like writing, there's a Discord I'm a part of that people are talking about their writing. Like here, and they post their work in progress, and I go, "Here's why it's bad." I was like, "You just use the narrative to use the narrator to explain this person's emotions 4 times in like a paragraph. Please change this."
Does it ever shock you how bad people like you? Sort of, I think growing up, I kind of went, I'm the worst at everything, and then you get older and you get some experience, and you kind of go, all right, I'm pretty good at this. I'll listen to other podcasts, and I'll be like, all right, I'm really intimidated about starting a project right now. I want to start an Indiana history podcast, and I've been talking about it for a year. And I've just been self-sabotaging a little bit, and Harry is giving me the, come on. And I'm like, let me just listen to the other podcasts. I'm like, oh, I got this. Do you do that a lot, too, where you're just like, because you're younger, you're in your 20s, right?
Yeah, 30 next year.
30 next year, okay. Yeah, like, once you get to your 30s, then that starts, by your 60s, you must just, people who are old must just go, idiots everywhere.
I mean, yes and no. It's one of those things where I also want to foster people writing. So if their writing is bad, it's like here's what you need to work on. Here's why your plot makes no sense.
Yeah.
I think at one point I spent an entire weekend while I was sick because I had nothing better to do, bouncing back and forth with this person, explaining like, this part of your plot makes no sense. This character makes no sense. This doesn't work here. Here's what you probably should change with this.
Right.
Here's an idea that might make your plot make more sense.
Yeah, no, I get that. I love like, my favorite thing to talk about is podcast. Like, I went to lunch yesterday, and those poor guys, they were like, they wanted information, but it was lunch. I hadn't touched my food, and they were done because I had monologued how their organization could benefit from podcasting and multimedia. But all right, well, it's great to get to a little bit to know about Vincent, but now it's time for Harry to shine.
What?
So Harry, go ahead.
What do you mean?
Let's set us up on what we're going to talk about today.
Oh man, so this video all right, so this video is a Linus Tech Tips video. This is before the controversy with Gamer Nexus. We're not doing that. We're not touching that.
Don't know who you're talking about and don't know what controversy. Tell us.
Yeah. No, we're not touching that.
As long as you didn't audit the video.
We're not touching that video.
Who is Linus? The tech man.
Linus Tech Tips is an OG YouTuber, like tech guy. So like,
we should have kept doing Harry's tech tip, just the tip. And we could have been huge on YouTube.
Honestly, yeah, probably, because when he was doing it, like it's Linus Tech Tip is also the videos I like to show people when they tell me like I'm crazy, like, well, you're crazy to host all this stuff like locally, and I like Linus is doing it. He's a massive streamer, hosts most of his videos and everything else locally at his location.
Right.
So, it's good because if you buy storage, it's just there. It's like, well, what if the hard drive fails? It's like, it's called a warranty. You're going to get years of warranty, and you have a building, and if you're not going to put people in the building and let people remote, just put a server there, But that's here and there.
Anyways, focus.
This video, one, I watched it and it triggered the crap out of me because like I responded to it, and then I was going through different videos to play this month, and I had some other cool like neat little political ones, and then Vincent was raging one day about the same topic on this video, and I was just like, let me hold this. Maybe we'll just do it on low key, and then you start complaining about some of the stuff too. It was like, oh, I'll just use this for this show.
Well, I complain a lot, but yes, let's.
No.
So you're going to show us a clip, and then we're going to react for our older audience. That's what a reaction video is.
Yeah. We're gonna. Yeah. Now we're gonna do a true reaction.
I have no idea what this is. I have no idea
watch the whole video.
Yeah.
And if we do, we're going to add a lot more to it.
Yep.
We're all going to sit in our chairs. We're not going to just leave the empty chair here and watching the WAN show.
I do have
bro, you have no idea.
Which is another video about commentary.
Am I going to summarize the video while it's happening too?
Stop it. Anyways, yeah. So, so this is a clip from the WAN show from over a month ago. So that's another thing. We're doing good for this reacting because it happened so long ago. The WAN show already got all the views they're going to get from this thing, anything like that. So we also do encourage you to go back and watch this clip from the WAN show from Linus Tech Tips and it's called what is it? Don't build a PC for family.
Yeah.
You just don't.
You shouldn't help family as a general rule. That's what I say.
No. You want me to bring it
up?
Yeah,
please.
All right.
I hate building PCs for people.
really do hate that this thing auto plays.
Yeah, as soon as you pull it up.
Yeah, that is annoying.
It's annoying. You know,
So who's Linus? Who are these two guys that we're looking at here?
on the left, so the WAN show is Linus Tech Tips' podcast. On the left, that is Linus. That's Linus Tech Tips. So he started this huge, massive multimedia like network. So like most people, when they have to go and like a lot of people, if you're not in the fruit Apple ecosystem and you actually care about your technology, you want to like see people review and talk about it. A lot of people go to Linus Tech Tips to learn things about it, you know, or even learn about their Apple products. You know, like Linus takes apart a lot of.
I've seen
Apple's
this guy before.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
He's an OG YouTuber.
Because I go and Google how to connect this or that or whatever. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
I've seen him before.
Yep. Or the difference between like when he was like, I loved his review on the Apple headsets, going like, if you're going to spend this much for a headset, is there anything better? And he shows you, this is a lot better headset, you know. Or I like the ones with I'm going to go to massive the earbuds, for the Apple earbuds. Yeah. Like they're great if you have Apple, but for some reason they do something once you switch off an Apple product and go to like Android or anything else. It is like for some reason the quality from just the
proprietary.
Headset, it degrades on you. It's nothing in the headset or the audio. It does it.
Yeah, I feel like it's meant to be like it's because of the connection. It reads that it's a different thing than Apple.
Yeah, so
could be that.
Yeah. Anyways, all right. So this is the clip. There we go.
Yeah.
Luke,
I do too.
It really does feel like a no good deed goes unpunished kind of situation, doesn't it?
It does. I like building PCs for specific people. And at this point, I pretty much only build PCs for people that I have built PCs for in the past.
I'm actually trying to scrub past this to get to the point where I went to. But like, this is real. Like most of your IT people understand this. Of most people, you just don't want to build a PC for anymore. I will build them for my friends and who I care about and actually understand things. But most people, no, they are.
Yeah.
No.
They don't care. Yeah. They'll just do whatever.
Yeah, back off. I'm not building you crap.
My similarity is building people websites. Mm-hmm. Unless you're paying me, I'm not building you a website.
Yeah.
You know, because I built my dad a website for his business, and I've been paying for it for 10 years now. And, you know, it's like, and then they come back and it's broken. It's just, building people websites is the similar thing to it. I won't do it unless you're paying me money.
Yeah.
So I know how they will deal with it.
Okay, so here's the situation. I built a PC for someone back in... Wait, this can't be right.
I think I know who this is.
Okay, well, whatever. It was a while ago. It was a couple months ago or something like that. Okay, I don't think you know who it is.
Okay.
I don't think you know who it is. I'm going to be anonymizing it fairly. I kind of go, all right. It was definitely at 144 when I gave it to you, which is... in February, early.
Yeah, it's just like I'm used to the scrubber and VLC.
I
don't have the scrubber.
Used to know exactly where you want to be.
Yeah, it's just my fault. I need to just put the stream machine here and use the VLC anyway. But anyway, so he's setting up the premise. So he built this PC, this gaming PC for a family member. It's running correctly when he dropped it off, and he's back, and he's like, and now things are happening with the PC.
February. I get a message. I'm just wondering how to get my monitor to 144 hertz because apparently it's 60 right now. I kind of go, all right. It was definitely at 144 when I gave it to you, which is all I care about. This is one of those situations where the PC wasn't free, but it was like very not retail, if you know what I mean. Like there was some wheeling and dealing that happened to make sure that this person who was, you know, a family friend definitely got like something a lot better than they would have walked out of Best Buy with.
So basically he like hooked a friend up. They paid him for the PC.
Yeah.
But he did it at super discounted, helping them out.
Correct.
Yeah, got quality things without it being, you know,
gotcha.
Yeah,
super off the shelf.
Yeah, it's like or like, let's say like if we are starting, you know, if we started another podcast, right, and we needed your help and conducted your services to help us, you know, you would take our budget and go like, well, let's get you some better mics than what you can afford, and we'll just start getting things, you know, and we would just have this stuff. So, you know,
gotcha.
Uh-oh.
And this guy didn't fix the computer. This was a letter to the podcast, by the way, just so you're you're not confused. Yeah,
he was reading off a text message he got from
they're reacting to a letter, and we are reacting to their reacting to the letter. So
yeah.
Meta.
Yeah, it's better this way.
Makes more sense.
I don't know what that means. Sorry. How can I check?
All right, so here it comes.
So I kind of go, are you using HDMI or DisplayPort? HDMI may be stuck at a lower refresh rate. Just basic troubleshooting.
Yep.
I don't know what that means. Sorry. How can I check? And I kind of go, you're going to have to look up how to check. Use Google. Okay. All right. 2 weeks later, I've been having problems connecting my headset mic. When I checked, it's not registering. It doesn't say the model of headset. Here, I'll show it to you, screenshot. I'm like, I don't know. If I was in front of it, I might be able to figure it out, but you might just have to find some troubleshooting guides. I get no fewer than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 messages over the next 3 days that go as far as, I'm pretty, okay, I really think this is urgent. Please reply to this quickly. I can't do anything on my PC. And I'm sitting here going,
just staring.
So I'm sure we've all been in this situation
all the time. All the time.
Absolutely.
And it's like, you try to do this good deed for this person, and this simplest thing is like, what does that mean? Because I can imagine, like, we asked Spangle to set up the studio, like, well, like, I don't know, the audio's coming in with, what cable are you using?
Boss Hog of Liberty.
All right, you use names.
No, I'm joking because, like, Boss Hog, for instance, has a studio, a physical studio, and Dakota has done a great job of, like, Googling how to fix this stuff. And then probably once in the last 2 years, they've hit a snag, and they're just like, I'm out of questions to ask Google. Can you help me? And we troubleshooted it. They got it fixed. They had, like, this buzzing thing. That's totally fine.
Right.
But the helpless baby syndrome, I've got a coworker who, if it gets back to him, he's not going to be offended. So I'll say, you know, we had this situation at work, okay? One coworker is not tech savvy. I mean, like a helpless baby. And he admits it. We all understand it. We cater to it because it's just there's something in his brain. He's great at the things he does, but then once it gets to the computer's not working, he's not like a boomer where it's like, oh my God, I logged myself out. How do I get back in type deal? But, you know, we built a computer. So instead of buying a Mac, a Mac Pro, which is what we tend to use. This is a Mac Pro laptop that's more powerful than my 2017 Mac Pro. But this is portable, right?
Yeah.
So we built a computer because it was going to be cheaper.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened. I'm not going to blame anybody. I'm not going to blame the person that built it. I'm not going to blame the person that was using it. But every week there was another problem with it, right? So there was genuinely, I think, something wrong with a part or whatever, because there were just parts of it that just weren't working right. And it was very frustrating for the person that's using it and feels like guilty for asking for help.
Right.
And then there's also like a little bit of, is there something wrong? I don't want to admit that maybe I don't know, or I don't know what this part is doing, or I've showed this person and it's just not right. So it's just like all this communication that's not working right. So we ended up selling it for parts and buying a Mac, right? Because, you know, when he flipped over to the other Mac that he uses, it was like 3 times faster. But it's like, and I'm not saying any of that was bad, right? That's not even kind of close to what this is, where the helpless baby syndrome, like that was a genuine problem where the thing wasn't working, but it was like very frustrating for like 3-4 months. You know, and you bought this thing and it's not working right and the person doesn't know. But then there's the people who are like the level below that. who are just trash humans. You may love your kids, you may show up to work on time, you may pay your bills and have an 800 credit score, but if you ask an expert instead of Google first, you're a trash person. I think we can all agree with that. Like, if you are going to take at work all the time this happens, a full document itinerary, everything you need to know is in the email. And then they call the person and ask, "Where's my hotel?" Oh my God. Bitch, look at your email, right? And everybody at work has that thing where it's like you're the A student everybody wants to be in the group project with, and then the C student just doesn't Google.
Right.
And I think you bring up an important point. I think we just need to call it what it is. The people who don't ask Google and YouTube, which is why we are all professionals, writer, IT guy, multimedia superstar and podcaster, all of We're Libertarians was built by me asking Google. Yeah. And then when I get stuck, maybe I'm stuck at work on a problem, I ask some experts, they don't know. I'm kind of up S Creek, right? But at least before I went to those people that I know have more expertise on a podcast issue, I did my due diligence. Right. And I just think that is the most irritating, helpless baby BS. It's just so disrespectful of people's time.
100%. That's why, like, a lot of the IT tickets I get now, I instantly pump them into ChatGPT, and then I'll read the response to that ticket that ChatGPT does, and then respond to
when
the
the person could just ask ChatGPT. Yeah. It's different than when, like, the situation at work where there was a genuine problem and it took us a couple months to figure it out. If it's in this was not in ChatGPT. This was not something this person could look up, and
they probably could have, but it's
just not in their wheelhouse, right?
There was a couple of questions that came through. Not only did they send it into, like, because it instantly tosses into ChatGPT. ChatGPT also wrote a work instruction, so I read through it and hit submit. I was like, wow, and added to my knowledge base. Thank you.
I love ChatGPT because it just saves so much time. But
it makes Google foo easier.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Or your search engine of choice.
Yeah,
most people listening to this podcast are competent.
Yes.
And competency is a valuable trait. And it's underrated. Yep. And there are too many incompetent people who are relying on the competent people. And I'm going to one day write a book about the competent people just dropping out of society and leaving the incompetent idiots to themselves. Help me write that, Vincent.
And the other book that's kind of like that, that's a low bar to hit to make it better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People don't want to trust libertarianism because of like, I think if we change this one thing where the incompetent Google first, maybe people would be more willing to take self-government on.
Yeah. I think the other thing that libertarians need to also understand is that, it's okay that the government's not on the gold standard because you can have a competing gold standard currency. It's completely okay. Yeah. They just got to give it up.
Yeah.
Move on.
So do you have, Harry, like an instance? Go ahead, Vincent.
So what you're saying, like if the incompetent people learn to Google first, does it change anything? Yeah. They have to be able to Google first and then have critical thinking and understanding about what they Googled. And then once that happens, then maybe it'll happen.
We live in the most knowledgeable time in all of human history. You both understand history. We are living in the golden age of humanity.
We are also living in the most cushiest and safest, at least in the United States, version of in history.
Right.
And there's enough things that exist in this world that you can just go, I have an issue, I hand it to this person, give them $100 and they fix it, then I go away.
Right.
Correct. Yeah. TaskRabbit is amazing.
Right.
Yeah. Like your grandparents would have loved to have TaskRabbit. I have no idea how to build this TaskRabbit.
What is that?
TaskRabbit? Imagine you take some IKEA furniture home. And you bought it, and you have no idea nor the time or want to put together that bookshelf. You get on TaskRabbit, someone will show up, put their bookshelf together, and leave.
See, I'm in that camp.
He's like, what was that website? He's like typing it in there now.
It's an amazing little thing that you can do, but I enjoy it. Because there's a lot of times I'll sit there and look at the price, especially from IKEA, because I think IKEA either has a partnership with them, because I bring that up because a lot of time when you buy something from IKEA, they ask you like, hey, do you want to get some from TaskRabbit? They'll build it for this price, and then you can just go, okay. Sure.
That's called marketing. But what it sounds to me is that TaskRabbit goes, what is the company with the most complicated furniture build-up that everybody complains about? Let's team up with them. That way we get that bank.
I was trying to get because my wife is really good at putting IKEA furniture together, and I kept telling her like, you could do this as a job. You know?
Some people enjoy doing that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, furniture assembly, mount a TV, like I couldn't mount my own TV. I'm going to be honest with you.
Oh yeah, that's a TaskRabbit job.
Like, look, my brother-in-law. So we have 4 IKEA bookshelves in my office and 3 in my daughter's. The difference in those IKEA bookshelves being mounted to the wall in my office versus my brother-in-law, who is an engineering genius and has patience, is night and day. It's flush against the wall. It's tight. The children will climb on it. Nothing will happen. My office, they're going to jiggle because it's kind of hitting the stud.
It's missing like 4 screws. He didn't know where they went.
I just don't have the patience to do that kind of stuff. So, yeah, that's, help moving. I hate moving. Electrical help. I couldn't do that kind of stuff. Yard work and gardening. I'd love to go do gardening for people. Yeah, it's just like that's capitalism, right? Somebody wakes up every day excited to grow turnips. Yeah. I don't know what a turnip is. I've never eaten one.
Yeah, you can get TaskRabbit. Like if you want to start a garden, you have no idea what to do, you can get on TaskRabbit. It's another commercial for TaskRabbit or other applications.
Yeah. Every day on my walk, Harry, there's a house that I walk by in front of it, and they've got 2 20-gallon pots on the front stoop. And in these 2 20-gallon pots, they have 4 tomato plants, a rosemary, 2 basil, and flowers.
Nice.
Yeah.
No. They got no fruit. Everything's withered because each tomato plant needs its own 20-gallon pot. Like I thought about yesterday, they were out front, and I walked by, and I thought about stopping and saying, can I help you figure out how to garden? Because you have failed. And not only have you failed, you have done it on your front porch for me to walk by and judge you every day. Like, so give me $15 and I will tell you the advice that I have spent 15 minutes Googling.
But we do live in an age where any piece of knowledge you want is at your fingertips. So that's why I get sometimes upset with the school debate. We're like, well, what do you teach us in school? I'm like, can't you just use the computer to figure that out? Like, I don't know how to do taxes. Well, really, you can 15 minutes on the computer will teach you how to do taxes. Or I don't know how to make a budget. 15 minutes. Dave Ramsey has a whole video program to show you how to budget your house. You
don't have to spend a lot of time. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like you just don't want to.
Yeah, you don't want to.
It's not easy.
Yeah,
that's the thing. My conspiracy, because I know where this video is going, is that about millennials and their tech literacy, is that I feel like there was a generation gap between where the technology happened, where the new group of people are like, especially the Zoomers, don't have to figure out how to use technology because the millennials did, and they can just ask the millennials to do it for them.
Yes.
So
you know
so
why?
You're spoiling the video.
You know why? Because think of your grandpa, or in your case, great grandpa. Like, because you're younger. Like my grandpa was in World War II and could fix anything. I mean, he made Harry look like me. I mean, he could rebuild houses. He could rebuild cars and flip them. He had gained a hard set of skills in the military in Japan that served him the rest of his life. So my mom and her sisters didn't have to learn any of that stuff. Uncle Johnny did because Grandpa made him go work, right? But the girls are helpless babies, right? So they were raised not having to learn hard skills because they had codependent parents that did stuff for them. And I bet that's just society-wide, like that greatest generation just kind of took care of things. And so the baby boomers just never learned a lot of hard skills like, I don't know, budgeting a government, governing properly, doing technology because they're trapped in between two competent generations.
Correct. Yeah, they built one underneath them because they just had to, because they were just abandoned. The Gen Xers were just basically latchkeyed and abandoned.
We are the ants and they are the grasshoppers.
Right, and that also caused the generation after the Gen Xers to want to protect their kids and give them what they didn't have. But now that's caused another generation where the kids are also latchkey, but they're latchkey to their computers. Yeah. So instead of them being raised, they're like, here's a tablet, read this. Yeah, and if they have an issue, they don't try to figure it out. They just go, Mom, the tablet doesn't work. Can you take this somewhere to fix it for me?
Yeah, so spoiler of the video, I was going to go tell you, it's like, so who do you think that, what age bracket do you think that person was that was sending those messages to the podcast asking for help? What age bracket?
I mean, far be it for me who started the whole boomer hate, which I don't have as much hate as I used to, and it's mostly a joke. I bet you they're millennial. Zoomer? I'm not surprised. I think boomer's too easy. Mm-hmm. I think it's just laziness and a lack of intellectual curiosity is not a generational problem.
Yeah. Because like most boomers nowadays either will have given up on some computer stuff and just will have figured out ways to just go around it, or they figured these skills out. They figured them out. Gen X, definitely, they grew up with it. They were around with it. They were left alone with it. Millennials, a lot of the technology was booming and going, but it was all in its infancy, so it would break constantly. Like a lot of people like, oh, Apple's so stable. It's like, yeah, it used to not be that stable. Yeah, it used to be a piece of junk. You had to go and fix it, put everything together. That's. And those Apple users, love their Apple products. They can tell you why they love them now, and then because they put all these years into it. And now the newest Apple crowd, everything just syncs. They don't have to know why it syncs, how it syncs. You don't have to learn any of that. It just kind of, I put my Apple ID into it, and I can take a screen from my Pro to my tablet to my phone and just drag and a drop. I don't have to think about that.
If you're listening and you've got a story of somebody that just needs to Google, leave it in the comments for us. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's one of those things of you realize how much that changes when you're growing up with something and you're figuring out as it's also growing, and then when something is established, how much it's completely different. So because a lot of the millennials grew up with how technology is advancing, and it's now kind of hit like this weird limit where we're gonna have to transition into Internet 3, which even then is a disaster in and of itself.
Oh, yeah, the DRM internet.
Oh no!
Somebody just asked me to
the
talk.
NFT internet.
Somebody just pitched me on having them on to talk about blockchain, and I'm like,
the issue with blockchain technology, and I tell everyone before I talk anything about blockchain, is like, well, why is it on the blockchain, and doesn't it need to be on the blockchain? Because if it doesn't need to be on the blockchain, then you're just putting it on the blockchain for marketing purposes.
But to Vincent's point, right? I think, Harry, you and I grew up at a time where, growing up in the 80s and 90s, the 80s was a time where you had a lot of stuff that was now previously, like buying a radio in 1950 was like you had to save up for it. Buying a big screen TV in the 90s, you had to kind of save up for it. It was very expensive. But there were a lot of little technical devices that were so much like a transistor radio in 1985 cost a small amount, and there was an excess of them because they had been on the market for a while. So like as a kid, I always played with radios and record players and strung them together and amplifiers for guitars, and like there was pieces of hard technology that we could take apart that our parents or grandparents didn't want anymore. They encouraged us to mess with cars. And now innovation, so there's still some high end stuff, but like if you were born in the 80s and 90s, you came up at a time where there was a massive amount of mass produced things that were available to fool with. And your parents also had the money, by and large, to do it because they had excess income.
Right, and they also didn't have the knowledge to fix it, so you were given the opportunity to try to figure it out.
This thing's broken, play with it. And then now I think money is a lot tighter than, it's a lot tighter for me to give stuff to my daughter to throw away, and everything that they care about is online and not tactile.
Correct. Online subscription services and constantly charging, like it's a lot of those times, like my first TV that I had in my bedroom, like getting a TV in my bedroom, I pulled it out of the garbage and fixed it.
Right.
My dad took me into I got this, screen wasn't shattered, sat in the garage with my dad, and we put this TV back together and fixed this thing. Color TV, amazing. No remote, a little scraggly, but I had a TV.
Yeah.
It was the same thing with radio. Like when I remember getting my first radio, I took out of the garbage to fix.
Right.
It had a grounding issue, so it would either buzz or one of the channels wouldn't play. But soldering iron and a little couple flux to the rescue.
In my case, it was like my dad would buy a new TV, and then he still does this, just shift that one to the garage, and then the garage TV, I don't know what we're gonna do with. Let's just throw it in the basement and abandon it, so you pick it up and start playing with it.
Yeah. And I also have the issue because there is a...
Now you're going to sell that on Marketplace.
Correct.
You're not going to give that to your kid to fool around.
What is it? The money?
I think there's a 50 to 60 inch TV in the bathroom here in this house because the backlight's out on it.
Yeah.
And I should just get rid of it, but my brain go I can fix this thing.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Then you end up with a second house full of junk.
I literally have a CRT just sitting in my spare room. It's not even a small one either. It's like a 30-inch CRT just sitting in my spare room.
Yeah.
The fat back, play Smash Bros on TV.
Is it your old monitor?
No. That's long gone. That's a whole other situation.
I pulled out my radio because we were at the library and my daughter wanted a Boxcar Children audiobook, and I was like, okay, we could put this in. I could dig up the old CD player out of the garage, put it in your room. You could listen to it while you play. It'll get you off your tablet. And then my heart was broken. This was my radio. It's still tuned to 94.7. I mean, this is my... Because I got a bigger radio, at 12. And so this one just kind of got set to the side. But this was the radio that, I played all my tapes on. It was I treasure this thing. And so I got it out, and the volume shorts, so you can't tune the volume. The CD player doesn't work. And I'm I can't throw this away, but I also can't fix it. It's too stupid.
You could probably get on iFixit and fix it.
But you know what? My impulse was, I know my brother-in-law can fix this because he knows how to, right? But I didn't do it because I'm not rude. I'm not going to take up his valuable time of starting a home inspection business and going to college to fix my baby radio, and he totally would because he's a sweet man.
Nice. Does home inspections? Good.
Yeah,
need him. I'm getting ready to buy a fourth house, so
you should,
need him.
You should see what they've... Yeah. The thing about my wife's family, they were all homeschooled. There's 11 of them. They didn't tell them answers. They said, go look it up in the dictionary. Go look it up in the encyclopedia. And for the younger kids, they say, go Google it. Because their mom loves competence. To be called competent by my mother-in-law is the highest compliment that because she's a Mensa member, she's incredibly intelligent, and she taught her kids how to be curious. If you love learning and you are given the tools on how to investigate the things that you want to learn, then that will spread. Much like in your case, Vincent, you were talking about earlier.
That's why school was always difficult, because a lot of the things that they wanted to teach me, I didn't care about.
Yeah.
The things that stick in my brain are absurd, ridiculous stuff for no reason. I could recall different lines of dialogue from a movie I seen 20 years ago for no reason. It just as an instant recall because it's in my brain. I saw Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the movie, when it came out. Yeah. Right, literally there are just quotes in that movie that's just in my head at all times. Like when he sees Knives walk into the room, he's like, "I want to pee on her." He's like, I need to go, but he doesn't want to go pee. That's just in my brain. Just instant recall stupid shit like that. Oh my God.
Why do you think that our brain does that? It's certain moments, especially when you're younger, that just things are sticky. It's weird things.
It's the things that you want to remember. There are plenty of math things that I don't remember, but there's certain general math ideas that I know, but there's no instant recall where somebody goes, here's this calculus question, figure it out for me. Right. I could probably do it with Harry, but not me.
Because calculus is fun. Right. I think it may be because we have the same brains and bodies that our ancestors had 10,000 years ago. So it's probably I have to remember these, this trail that the deer take.
Yeah.
I have to remind myself that, or just kind of just walk over. Oh yeah, the deer go this way. We're just going to go back.
You know what I've seen in my life is if it's reinforced by photographs, family photographs, that story gets retold. And I've noticed in history, like the history that we remember is what was written down or like echoed through the age. Like, the Epic of Gilgamesh, there's stone tablets that are discovered, but then the bulk of what's translated was written by like a 200 BC, Sumerian. Like it wasn't the ancient text, right?
Yeah.
It's what's kind of on the papyrus, right? Which is like, I always think about, the Library of Alexandria and World War I, where all these libraries are destroyed, and like, what are the pieces of essential knowledge? Like, was there a Plato or Socrates that was bigger, smarter, better than Aristotle and Plato, but we don't know it because like that echo of written word doesn't, or photographs for our family. You love the family now that if you're 60, you probably have your core memories are videos or photographs that you've talked about every 3 or 4 years.
So what do you think is the best scientific breakthrough of the 20th century was? Anything, just say it.
Okay, well, let's just like think about that, because there's radio, there's photography. Well, photography's 19th century. There's television and really movies. There's the internet. I would say the car is probably a 19th century invention, if you want to say like, I mean, airplanes are pretty hard to beat.
Yeah.
I mean, I think in the future, I think it's definitely going to be the internet. But right now, I think the biggest invention would be television. I think that was the most impactful.
Okay.
I think movies and radio are really hard to beat because, like, radio shaped modern propaganda in a free society and created modernity. No,
tell you why you're
radio created modernity.
Let me tell you why you're wrong. Quantum mechanics.
Okay.
Yeah, quantum theory. That is the best thing we ever did in the 20th century, and it almost didn't come about because of those world wars. A lot of the scientists that were trying to discuss this were having open communication.
First, explain what quantum what it is.
Quantum what it is.
Explain that.
Quantum mechanics.
And why you think that, and then give me the history.
There's several different definitions for quantum mechanics, but I think the best answer is just more of a good explanation of how our universe works, so just on a smaller scale. Okay. Yeah. And a lot of the scientists that was developing the theory, so we was trying to leave Newtonian physics and come into what we know as quantum physics. A lot of those scientists that were trying to develop that we couldn't happen because of World War I and World War II. Because they were trying to have these conversations to do all these different discoveries, but everything kind of messed up. There's other reasons.
No, you chase all the Jews out of all the universities in Germany, which was ground zero, like Einstein.
Yeah.
You take all the, like Germany, for instance. I mean, the tragedy of the two wars in Europe is horrible because you've created diasporas, and so all the intelligence that is concentrated in time and space are dispersed and can no longer really work with people in the same way.
So last night I finally got to the chapter where Schrödinger, right, from everyone knows Schrödinger's cat, right, was invited to Copenhagen around 1923 to discuss Bohr, from guy who knows Bohr from the Bohr atom model. How most people understand how an atom.
How could I forget?
Anyway, it's that model, and they were sitting there and got invited. It was 1923, trying to get him to go up there to talk about this. So it's
I don't know. Maybe the vaccine might be a little bit. We're not dealing with smallpox, polio, and I don't know why we have a chickenpox vaccine, but
shingles.
We got a little bit overboard on the vaccines, but
so Harry, you talk about that because you talked about it yesterday. A little bit.
It's because it's very fascinating
to me and Paul, right? I looked at Paul when you walked away. I was like, is it sad the only thing when he starts talking about quantum mechanics I think of is Rascal Doesn't Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai? Because in the anime they use quantum mechanics to explain the science, to explain all the crazy shit that happens. Stuff like quantum entanglement and all those kind of theories. And that's like the only thing in my brain I thought of.
I just still don't get why quantum mechanics matters to me. What did that materially do to improve my life, like versus a vaccine or radio?
All right.
I mean, in an airplane, I can fly across the country.
God! Do you know why it flies?
No.
All right. So a lot of that is explained by Newtonian physics. But
Isaac Newton with the apple. Got it.
Yeah. which we move ahead from that. So a lot of the different things, so like a lot of the safety features, how your phone works, how the internet even functioned, a lot of that comes down to understanding how different things react because of quantum mechanics. Even everyone wants to bring up the bomb because of Oppenheimer right now, but if you understand like where quantum mechanics come from, you can understand the military grabbed Oppenheimer because the scientists like, we finally get to talk to each other. Screw your weapon, we just want to talk and get these theories bunched out. So anyways, but so your
quantum mechanics,
so your superconductors, your microchips,
basically all the cool things that you like is because of quantum mechanics.
Yeah, all these things that you listed off that think it's really cool, like the internet, like that's quantum mechanics.
Atoms and stuff. Angular momentum, energy. See, I'm skeptical.
What?
I'm skeptical.
I'm looking here at the we got a harmonic oscillator. Neat. How's that better than movies?
How do you record the movies?
Not with quantum mechanics.
Yeah, you do.
Explain to me how that works.
All right. You don't have to look at how the ins and outs of each camera works, but a lot of the microchips and the little transistors, the capacitors in it, that's all quantum mechanics. All that was designed by quantum theory, stuff like that, and was built from engineers.
Yeah, that super cool soundboard you have there is because of quantum mechanics.
I'm so tired of nerds.
Like literally, you having a career is all because of quantum mechanics.
I'm so annoyed with nerds. Hey, can you build me a computer, by the way?
A lot of the vaccines, stuff like that, and how things work. That's also chemistry, biology, all stem from the basic of the
Ace Undead says if LK99, a potential room temp superconductor, turns out, then quantum computing will become viable.
Correct.
Yes.
Explain what he just said. Now, I think this is actually like a pretty significant thing. The room. So, think of server rooms for Dropbox and Apple. They're all like next to oceans because they have to have all this water to cool the semiconductors. Then all of computing runs, and it needs a lot of like cool air and all that, right? So a room temperature superconductor means that you can compute in places and in ways that you could not currently do. Do I have that correct?
You're getting there. You've read the marketing material.
You've read the marketing material.
The simpletons. You know what? First, hilarious. A second, you owe me an apology, but he says, "I'm sorry, Harry and Vincent. Didn't mean to give you more work." This is solid evidence against the concept of natural selection. You know what? I don't know who you are, Prometheus Coyote, but I hope somebody builds you. You have to build a computer for someone.
Yeah.
That'd be perpetual tech support. I don't know how we went from I had to build my grandma a computer to tell me how quantum mechanics work.
And how room temperature superconductors work.
But this is a big breakthrough, and tell us why.
Breakthrough, man, remains to be seen.
You're gonna get gang piled by Twitter.
Good.
Scientists.
That's what science is. You're supposed to disagree with each other.
No, that's not how science works.
Science is, we use science in discussions. Just like I hated the whole thing during the stupid COVID times of the vaccine. Like, it's like, you're discrediting scientists. Scientists have these discussions about discrediting other people's theories, but they have it in non-layman papers.
Right.
You have to read these things to understand what's going on. This is where things
you have to
not
have
on podcasts.
You have to prove your theories. Right. You have to prove your theories. Yeah, and the whole point is that you have somebody, you write your theory, give it to somebody else, and go, "Oh, I can recreate it and prove that this idea works."
Which is what's happening with this.
Oh, it doesn't. You lie. Go away.
Right. Which is what's happening with the semiconductor, where they keep trying to at different places recreate. Because if you can get it to work and you figure out that one little millimeter difference, then you win the prize.
Yeah. Right. And there are, I forget what the theory is called, that if it does work consistently in one area but it doesn't work somewhere, there is a variable that you're not moving, and I forget what that's called. I'm not a full-time scientist, so no. I'm not going to get all the words correct all the time. That's not what I do.
Yeah, but it's one of those things. If you don't call somebody out on their bull, especially in scientific research, you create a lot of issues. The Alzheimer research got brought back 20 to 30 years because the guy who wrote the piece that everyone was using false information. And it completely brought back all the research they did because it was based off of a false premise that no longer made sense.
Yep.
So now they're like, well, great. Now all of our Alzheimer research has to be done again to try to make it work.
Yep. Redo all the models. All the models have to change.
Yeah. So, and that's why you want to call people out on lying, especially in the scientific community, because if you don't, you get that.
And this is where the real superconductors are going to be used. So a lot of the scientific labs, when they do scientific research, use these superconductors to help do some of this research. And a lot of that has to be chilled to really cold temperatures. I forget what the kelvins is on it. So they have to.
I love Kelvin and Hobbes.
So they have to make something really cold, so it doesn't, because it's, or it will break. This thing being room temperature, it doesn't have to be chilled that much. But we kind of make different conductors, but it's more of like the price point, and there's different thing that goes on about it. It's not so like, haha, we've got this, and now everything's going to change. We're going to have hovercraft, stuff like that. That's not going to happen. So Prometheus did say most studies cannot be replicated. Yes, because there is a theory for because there's a variable that we're not moving, or you can't replicate it because you're either missing something or it has to happen to the spot. This thing happens. Just because it can't be replicated doesn't mean it's completely
right. So it's just because it can't be replicated, then it's not useful. It doesn't mean it may be wrong or right. It just means that it's not useful because you can't consistently redo it.
Right. You're able to look at it and go, well, this is what the variable is, and it'll help research it because you're able to reproduce it. And in a manner, even if it doesn't come out exactly what it's supposed to be, you're able to see this is what a massive variable for this research, etc.
Correct. Yeah. Right. Yeah. There's tons of different variables like that Einstein was dealing with when coming up with the relativity theory. Where it's like, well, we messed with this variable because he set I forget what the math was, because he said it where he was in Austria, and then when the person, because he couldn't go do the study, he sent it to someone else, that they messed it up. They set up in the wrong spot, so the calculations were all off. Everything didn't work.
Gotcha.
So, those things. Yeah. So,
Well, do we want to end, or do you got more?
More physics, or more of this video?
Just talking in general.
You tell us.
But more of do you guys also see that with because me, I deal with most generations, and I do feel that I always say the Zoomers are going to be okay. The generation underneath me is going to be okay. They have some neat things, but I'm also realizing that they've had so many things handed to them.
Yeah,
that those hard skills aren't going there. Which really freaked me out was I always said this joke, and it's coming true, that I will eventually be able to make more money working on cars than I can work on computers. And I saw the other day was a dealership hiring 6-figure mechanics weekends off, and I was just like, oh man, that's the dream.
No, I think we've got a person who works in the electrical industry, and he makes more than I do, and he's half my age.
Yeah,
but because those are hard skills that, if you were a plumber, you're gonna make bank in 25 years. I think a lot of it goes back to what are you? It's the Christian concept of catechism, right? The call and response, the asking of the question and giving an answer. Because what you're doing is you're forming a person's mind. It's the repetition in school. You're giving them information to remember. Why do you remember those stories of your grandmother? It's the repetition. Yep. And I think in our society, younger people who are true digital natives. You and I are not digital natives. Vincent, you're probably a digital native. I mean, I can remember the literal card catalog at the library. I can remember having to use an encyclopedia, being taught those methods.
I think we got our first computer when I was second grade or something like that. But I also had the other stuff beforehand as well. I'm not fully, the best way to put it is that middle part, because I was in 94. I was born in 94, so it was not a full
you're my wife's age,
in it, but it's I was one of the early adopter, basically.
My boss talking about his 3-year-old taking a paper magazine and trying to pinch the magazine. Pinch the screen, right? It's not like our kids, but you and I, we're part of this golden age, literally 41 to 38 is supposedly the most intelligent generation in all of human history because they grew up on traditional methods, but also understood technology and how to use those resources. And so I think when you're talking about how our kids will grow up, you're competing with the catechization of TikTok, you're competing with social media, you're competing with, like my wife was watching me in bed as I was on my phone and I was just like jumping app to app, right? It's very ADD, right? That I'm not truly learning anything. I'm just kind of reacting and looking at it, but it's all forming my mind in some way, right? And you have, and I don't know that this is bad necessarily, but you have the ability to niche down into, I like, if you're in the Mises Caucus, neo-Confederate lesbian porn, then you can niche down into that, I'm sure, right? So you can you can niche down into, I don't know what you guys are talking about half the time when you start talking about the entertainment that you consume, because you don't have to know the entertainment I consume and vice versa because it's so different. But we grew up with a consistent frame of reference. Yeah. And I think that's the challenge of education today, is that your kids do go to school and they are exposed to a broad amount of information, but then it's not necessarily reinforced in the same way that you and I had, because we didn't have the same level of technological intervention in our brains.
Correct. There's, from my perspective, it's more of it appears that a lot of the newer generation is because they were born in the technology, raised by the technology, and given the technology right off the bat. And every time they have any issues, especially growing up, they were able to just give it to a parent because the parent knew what was happening with the technology. Or if they didn't, they just spent the money to do something to fix it. And a lot of those jobs that people are thinking of, like the electrician or the plumber, all the hard to maintain jobs or the hard labor jobs people don't want to do. That also comes down with the propaganda of everybody telling you to go to college and getting rid of people doing, going to trade schools and learning through trades and doing that kind of stuff. But there's also the fact that a lot of the kids growing up are inundated with like the influencer culture. And I think the last research they did, like 60% of the kids say they want to grow up to be an influencer.
Yeah, they don't want to be basketball stars like us, or
want to be anything
like
else, because that's what they see all the time, and that's what those people are like. Oh, I have all this money, even though most of the time, a large chunk of the time, they're putting on a facade or
they're panhandlers.
Yeah, of course,
they're literal panhandlers.
Yeah. Obviously,
they panhandle that they're broke and then get in their Bentley on the other end of the freeway.
Correct. Right. Or it's the other way around, where they pretend to be rich and famous, but they're actually like barely middle class, but they like rent out stuff and make it look like they're more wealthy than they are. And then there's a lot of people that like to fall into those the equivalent of the Ponzi / get rich quick schemes, because people see that money is important, so they want to get, but they also want to jump into things early because they saw how well Bitcoin was doing, so they want to get in the NFTs or the cryptocurrency or whatever, and that led to a lot of people losing a lot of money because they see that that's the case, and they jump into it because people don't really fully understand a lot of this technology. So the people that understand it sooner are able to just rake the people who don't understand it over the coals, get all their money, and just leave. And because very few people are getting punished for it, except for like Sam Bankman-Fried finally, but they're able to just keep perpetuating this cycle of, I set up this thing, convince people to buy into it. They buy into it because they're desperate, because they need the money, or they think that this is the best way to get them out of poverty, or anything along those lines, or they want to set their kids up for the future.
Yeah, we tend to be mad at the grifters, but they're the supply to the demand, and we never really get to the root of the demand, which is, my grandpa could work one job. My parents both had to work. And now most families, we're in a different position. I'm very blessed and fortunate. And we keep things real close to the bone. We don't live extravagant lifestyles so that my wife can stay home. But most people have to work, both parents, plus now they need another income. So I need to do an MLM. I need to do a Patreon. I need to try and get some TikTok.
So
right?
what you're saying is polycule is the only way to live in your life.
Yes. If I knew what that was, I would agree. But the reality is that we have debased the currency to the point and inflated the currency to the point that most families can't make it on 2 incomes now. You've got to have a third.
All right. I get that, but it's also hard for me because I can sit down at most people's finances and go like, okay, you're poor because of this. You don't need Netflix. You don't need this. You don't need that. Get rid of this thing. Go to this dumb phone here. You basically need an internet connection. You get rid of some of the stuff, this loose change stuff. Like people just keep adding things. It's just like
monogamy in this economy.
Free will in this economy.
I could see that argument in that the way that the cultural influence. So Vincent is arguing it's a cultural influence. I'm saying it's demand. He's saying supply is the problem. You're saying, well, the cultural influence makes our wallets want to be bigger and we all do it, right? Like I look at like I used to dream about being able to afford a Reason magazine subscription.
Oh man,
like $30 for a Reason magazine subscription in 2010 was impossible for me.
Yeah.
Now I've got like probably 10 magazine subscriptions, right? Like it's just
or to make it even more to the modern generation, it's like, oh, well, you don't want cable anymore because no one needs cable. You can just go to a streaming service. Well, now there's 17 streaming services, and they're all
plus you pay
$10 to $15 a month.
Hulu Live for $100 plus the 20 other, and that's what I do every single month. I sit down and I carve out and I go, look, do I need this? And you know what? I cancel. I went before our wedding. We were broke, and we're kind of in a tight spot right now. And I went through and I canceled almost everything except for the stuff I absolutely use. Like I use ChatGPT, so I'm going to pay for the subscription because I don't want the whale fail. And then I forget about it, and I'm like, I haven't thought about Paramount Plus. I haven't needed it. I haven't logged on. I haven't been hit with, you don't have a subscription. So I didn't need that $10 a month thing or whatever.
Right. The only, like as of right now, I think the only subscription I'm subscribed to is High Dive, which is an anime streaming service. Right. And it's a small one that not a lot of people use, and just want to support these people to do this. Yeah. Because they're picking different things that other people don't normally pick. So that's like the only real subscription thing I'm subscribed to.
Yeah. I got Netflix and I got Amazon Prime Video, but there's so much content that has been created out there that you can stop absorbing brand new content for the rest of your life. You do not have to watch a brand new video ever again, and you can watch a new one to you for the rest of your life. You can easily go to Goodwill and pick up not nickel, but like really cheap Blu-ray movies and VHS tapes and DVDs of movies that you have probably never watched, and it's good. And some of it's good content. It's just no one has physical media.
For the Zoomers, a VHS tape is tape put in a player machine.
So Prometheus Coyote says, I feel like blaming the decreasing U.S. standard of living on subscriptions is like blaming the housing crisis on Starbucks and avocado toast. I do agree with that. My wife and I always have this argument because she's like, well, just cancel more subscriptions. I'm like, when your rent goes from $800 to $2,000, the $15 Netflix subscription is not the problem.
I get that, but you're bypassing a lot of people's like wants and dreams, because a lot of people, when they go get a housing, they overload on housing. They get some house, they're like, well, I want to live in this area, but you can't afford to live in that area. Or they'll get a car, and they're like, well, I want to get this new car. And they're like, well, like if you can take time and learn how to work on cars, you can get some older, cheaper car. If you know how to drive a manual transmission and know how to switch a CV axle, there's a Fiat 500 out there for $2,000, but no one knows how to drive a manual transmission or want to switch out the CV axles on it. Yeah, you don't even know what a CV axle is.
I don't even
like. For me, it's not blaming on the streaming services. It's just an example of when things used to be, you have the one thing, and now we've broken it up into many things that cost more than the one thing originally. Yeah. Cable used to be like one price, like from the last time I remember having anybody I know pay for cable, it was like $60 a month. But if you want Netflix and Hulu and Disney Plus and Paramount Plus, you're paying like $70, $80, which is more than what you were paying for cable already. I'm not saying that is the main issue.
It's priority.
It's just one of those things.
Yeah, you're both arguing priorities.
Correct. Yeah. And if you want the pricing and the pricing structure and everything that your great-grandparents or grandparents had, then you have to also live like them.
Yeah.
You know, like electricity is your luxury.
Right.
Know? Turn things off. Sit there. Read a book. The library is free. You can go there, check out anything out there for your entertainment. Go down. Like, eat food out of cans. If you want this single lifestyle to sit there, like, it's available to you. The way your grandparents lived, it's actually available to you. You just gotta work for it and go for it like they worked for it.
I'm a single man.
What?
No, surprising. Who would ever think that this Playboy would be single at all? Jesus.
Send DMs to us.
Send
DMs to Paul Copeland.
Oh,
Don't. You know what? You're in no danger. If you have him, if your bitches text Paul first, they'll get to you. Don't worry about it. You may be single, but I've got secondhand singleness from him.
But like I'm able to live comfortably within my means without be worrying about bills or anything along those lines, because the most variant expense is groceries, and that's if I want to cook something extravagant for myself for the week.
Yeah.
But that's just...
Yeah.
I remember being poor too, Harry.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's days when you're like, I really want to go to McDonald's, but I've got $4 left.
Now, those are the most people that you hear complain about, like, not doing that. Now there are the actual poor people who have disparity out there. Like, none of these tips will help them. Yes, there is.
Right.
100%. Not discrediting those people at all. Those people are out there. They need help. But those people you don't hear, those people aren't complaining like everyone else is.
Yeah.
Those aren't the people that have a two income household, both making significantly more than minimum wage, and like in a variable price range that would be significant for one person by themselves, but they're spending it on luxury or things that they don't necessarily need, and then go, well, I'm so poor I can't afford anything. When you're buying lobster tails for no reason, when you don't need lobster tails
it's why
at the grocery store.
When you read the news or you read the conversation online, like the complaining about discomfort versus the complaining about injustice or marginalization, those are two different conversations.
Correct. Yeah.
Right? Like people who are genuinely poor don't typically... Like, they don't want to point it out because they're genuinely poor. Like, my dad ran a janitorial service. I grew up around a lot of poor whites. Yeah. And I was a privileged kid. Yeah. You know? And then my parents became working class, and I became very poor because they got divorced. And I've scratched my way into the middle class here. But, you know...
Inflation bring you back down.
Right. And the pat-down experience, like, with Pat, like, what I have found when people are kind of poor... They're not as complaining about it as the people who are uncomfortable and could just make some changes, right? Yeah. Like it's the person who's genuinely hungry probably doesn't talk about it versus the person like me who I'm hungry right now and I'm going to complain about it, and I could go 3 weeks before I would probably actually need a meal for energy. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I think that's the distinction that most people don't understand, is that people care less about your clear discomfort and it's not equal to clear marginalization, injustice, real problems, you know?
And a lot of different times, a lot of people because most of the people you find in situations, if you go through their history and what they're doing, you can figure out, like, this is, you know, like, you could say it as blaming you, but like, I can track the path that brought you here. You know, it's, you didn't get your high school diploma. Okay, that's cool. You have 5 kids with 5 different women. Okay, you know, you have general skills, because people hate the term no skills. It's like, fine, I won't use the term no skills. You have general skills. You have skills that are so general, everyone has them. So there basically is the baseline of 0, but you hate the term 0 skills, so we'll call them general skills. So everyone has these skills. So it's like, well, why would, you know, and you don't want to go off and make yourself any better. You won't go to the library, which is free. You can go there, pick up a book. You can learn German this summer. You don't have TV or Netflix. You can pick up a second language and easily get a better job. But you won't do that. You rather just sit there and complain.
I know. And it's like growing up as a young Republican, you're always complaining about the victimhood of the black community, right? Then I grew up, and I look around, and I'm like, I was like the systematic destruction of the history of Indiana Avenue to make IUPUI, for instance, and sending grandmothers in the 80s into the welfare lines so I could eventually go to a nice, comfy university, right? Like those are near history things that impacted my right, and so like I think. I forget what my point was, but like I just like to me, like the fact that we got censored on social media, I talked about it and we'd always get a good pop.
Yeah.
But I'm still doing this podcast, right? Like the conservative censorship of social media is wrong from a principled standpoint. But like I think running around pretending that somehow that makes me a victim of something is just like kind of pathetic to position yourself that way when you're not actually unable to speak. You just are. It's unfair, but it's not unjust.
Yeah, I do think conservatives at one point of time, for like a good brief season, they were unfairly attacked. But I think the places that were hosting them, that was taking that ad revenue, realized like, oh crap,
it's switched. It's not better, but it's
right.
And
it's going to happen the exact same way. We're like, haha, the liberals are getting banned. We're like, yeah, but the ad revenue, they need them for ads, so they're going to have to bring them back. Everything's like, all that happened. But like his family heritage house, which I don't know if you know this story, that like the house that that your grandma had, right? They bought that house after the state eminent domain, their original house, when they built I-65.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it just so happened that I-65 downtown was built in the black neighborhood, split them up, and systematic. It's the diaspora that we talked about, the German scientists earlier. They did that to the black communities here in Indianapolis because they didn't want to move it 2 miles north and split up the white communities that had political power, right? So, I mean, you didn't have...
Funny how Meridian and,
Meridian didn't get touched, Rocky Ripple didn't get touched, yeah.
It's funny.
Right, but the parts that you don't want to get off the exit seem to be where the exits are. Yeah, so...
Neat.
Anyways, well, we should wrap up. It was a good discussion. I don't know what we talked about, but it was good
stuff.
We went off on tangents.
Yes.
There's so much of this video. There's another part of the video I didn't want to get to, but it's okay.
Classic WAL.
Yeah, that's fine.
Classic WAL episode is fun.
Great conversations.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you still want to do your preview of what you're going to be on? I think you're going to be on Newsmax, right?
Not Newsmax. I can't say, but in the next couple weeks, watch my social media for a huge opportunity, a huge fun thing that I got to go do in August. I'll be featured on a network television show. I was sitting next to Ray J of Raycon fame. Probably most famous for Here's Earbuds, I think.
Yeah. Nothing else.
Nothing else.
No, he's,
nothing whatsoever.
He's one of the
Moesha. He was on that TV show.
But we'll talk about it next month. But yeah, it was he's one of the most humble people I've ever, like, you expect like somebody as rich and as famous as like Ray J, for instance, to be like awful, entitled and want to special treatment. Turns out that was me. No, it was.
Could have told him.
Tons of fun.
I could have told him.
We'll talk a little bit about it probably next month. But yeah, stay tuned. Big career. It was a lot of fun. So stay tuned. All right. Thanks so much for joining us here on We Are Libertarians. Thanks to Harry. Thanks to Vincent. Thanks to all of our patrons. Thanks to Jason Doolittle for the awesome studio. Thanks to everybody that shares this with your friends. New study out. Basically, the only way to make a podcast grow is word of mouth. So we need your help. You are our marketing arm. Buying Facebook ads, not worth a damn, right? Direct mail, too expensive. But all you got to do is say, hey, fun conversation over here, learn something, makes me think, really appreciate it. And like, to me, that's like the bare minimum. We give you the time, give you something to listen to, you get some value out of it. The bare minimum is just telling people about it, right?
Yep.
Next up, donate a little bit and help us grow. So, all right, thanks so much for joining us here on the program, and we will see you again soon. This podcast was produced and edited by Chris Spangle and Leaders and Legends, LLC. If you're interested in starting a podcast or taking yours to the next level, please contact us at leadersandlegends.net.